Boy, there we go.
Thanks, Rosie. Okay.
Hey, Melissa.
Probably got caught up with Marcia.
That's spouse that I did talk to. Come on, you just got hooked up, just barely.
I promise I was in the bathroom the whole time.
Christy and I know. Baby.
Yeah. All right.
Did you need me for a quorum?
Oh, no,
Okay.
it literally right before you walked in is when we got recording. So
Good.
you're right on time.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry, apologies all for the delayed start. I'll try and make sure we stay on track as much as possible so we can get done on time. Like I said, we have one new member of our group, so we'll go ahead and do some quick introductions if that's all right. And we'll start with the people in the room. And we'll start with Mayor Olson. Melissa took a bite food.
John Olson, Mayor of Vernon.
I'm Mark Allen, Mayor of Washington Terrace in Weber County.
Melissa Freegang, Executive Director of the Weber Prosperity Center of Excellence in Weber County.
And then Rochelle and Josh, if you guys want to introduce.
Rochelle Custer, Twilla County Community Development Director.
I'm Joshua Cook, Morgan County Planning and Development Director.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. Josh, do you like Joshua or Josh?
Either one's fine.
Okay.
Josh is okay.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. So explaining to Mayor Olson, when he got here, that I was printing out all the packets for today, and mid-print the printer jammed. And so he has a full packet, you have like a 3/4 of a packet, and for the rest, we will, we have online that we can all just look at. So let me share my screen. All right. So first on our agenda, we have the welcome and introductions, which we did, and then a CDBG overview. I'll try and go through it quick. Apologies, Josh, that you're the only new one. We're super glad to have you. But because we started a little late, I'm going to try and keep it high level overview. And then if you would like to connect later, I'm more than happy to connect with you and we can get into a little bit more detail. But CDBG is a federally funded grant program that is intended to primarily benefit persons of low to moderate income. So that's anything below 80% of the county average median income. And HUD publishes those numbers every year. And so that's how we income qualify beneficiaries of the program. So the funding cycle begins in the fall each year. We have a how to apply workshop. Anyone who would like to apply to CDBG is required to attend that how to apply workshop. It's hosted at the respective AOGs each year. And then after the workshop, you start your web grants application. Those are due at the end of January, on January 31st every year. And then in the springtime, we review those applications. The AOGs review them with the state and make sure that they meet all the state eligibility requirements. And then those projects that are deemed eligible are rated and ranked and then brought to this body here for final review and approval. Those who are ranked highly enough where we have enough funds to fund them will then attend a grantee workshop in April or May. And then funds are available in July. So I know that's a lot to take in. We talked about a calendar once upon a time. So here's kind of a calendar overview of when the CDBG cycle is in full swing.
I thought that was super helpful.
Oh, good. Perfect. So also attached is the bylaws. We don't have to go through the bylaws. It's pretty dense, but essentially it's saying, it's talking about the membership. Obviously, The members are all here, minus one Morgan County representative. So the committee is made up of 2 representatives from each of the eligible counties, Morgan, Tooele, and Weber counties, 1 elected official, and then 1 staff member from each county. This helps us to know, the needs and priorities of each county as we are updating those annually. And then we meet on the 3rd Tuesday of February, May, August, and November. And then we must have a quorum for voting. Each member gets a vote. Pretty straightforward bylaws. We updated those last in 2018. Not a lot changes, so not a huge need to update those each year. Next, we'll go high level, our rating and ranking criteria. As a body, we all update these in the fall each year to reflect how projects will be rated and ranked for the next funding cycle. So it starts with kind of some pretext to our criteria. Then it goes, this is how they're scored each year based on, again, what we update each fall. And then at the back, we explain what those mean for applicants so that they can follow along with their applications, have an idea of how they're going to be scored. And those, again, we'll start updating those in August. Okay, the next thing we have on here is the consolidated plan. The consolidated plan is updated every 5 years. We're still 2 years out from updating that again. But on an annual basis, we update the annual action plan, which informs the 5-year consolidated plan, but of course is updated each year. And so today we'll be reviewing the updated annual action plan and approving that, holding any comments that the group has. And it basically outlines, again, what our priorities are, what our goals are, and then taking a look back on how well we did meeting those goals. So again, this is the 5-year plan. We don't need to really pay too much attention to that today. Okay, so that was everything in there. Oh. Okay, anyway, so again, Josh, if you want to go into any more detail about, I know that was super high level. I just want to make sure that we're staying on track here. So last year we did the chair and vice chair appointments. Lance Evans, who Josh would have replaced, was our chair, and he is no longer with the county. So we need to do that again. As a reminder, Mayor Allen is our policy committee representative on the state policy board. So just keep that in mind as you're nominating people or, or volunteering for the job. It's super low key, low maintenance. We meet maximum 4 times a year. It basically just entails helping me run through the agenda so I can take notes as we go, keeping us on track.
Who was vice chair last year?
You.
I remember.
Okay.
I think we have a new chair.
Then I take my thought back. You know where I was going with that.
Someone who's never done it before. Yeah.
Dang it.
You opened that right up.
I thought Mayor Allen did a great job when he was chair, but seeming how he's on the advisory policy, I would nominate Mayor Olson as chair.
I second that.
Yeah, wait till I get back to Tooele.
Oh, that was your ex-friend, huh?
I think so.
Okay, good. Good.
All right, hearing no other nominations, do we have agreement on a chair? Mayor Olson?
Sure.
All right.
Beautiful.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And then vice chair. Not that we'll ever need one because Mayor Olson's going to attend every meeting.
I'll assume
Okay.
continue my position as vice.
Thank you
Gladly.
for that. Great.
I didn't know vice meant that you weren't going to be the chair the next year.
Oh, no.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
But a lot of times, you know,
Sometimes it does.
sometimes it does.
But not in this case.
No.
Ow, why did you kick me under the table?
In our bylaws, those are 2-year terms, no
Oh.
limit on number of terms served. So hopefully we won't have to revisit this next year because you're all staying
Good.
on the committee.
Congratulations, Chair.
Forever.
Good.
Awesome. Okay, now we are looking at the minutes all the way back from August.
I move to
Christie, I
approve these
read through the
minutes.
minutes and I believe they represent the meeting. I move to approve.
I'll second that.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. I'm never sure if I'm supposed to do that or not, but might as well be safe than sorry. Okay. Now, I thought I had the annual action plan in here, but where? Maybe I didn't. Oh, this is it. Okay, great. All right. Did you have a moment to review the annual action plan, the draft annual action plan? Not a lot of changes to it again. It just reflects the priorities that were decided last fall. As far as our rating and ranking criteria go, of course, the populations were updated.
So we need to add Lake Point City and Erda City to Tooele County.
Okay.
Yeah, they're both incorporated now.
I'm not sure their populations, I'll have to look, but we do need to.
That was Lake Point and
Erda,
Erda.
ERDA.
Good catch.
And is the reason for the projections at the top there because the census is so old?
Yeah, and because some of the towns are so small, like they won't even be on the census like the same as the other ones are. This is just a consistent way to have all the numbers be from the same data source.
So if we were to do something, could we take those numbers if we were like on a whole different note? Are those like, there's like this WFRC
Mhm.
sort of, okay.
Yep.
They're from, aren't they from, I can't read that, American, aren't they?
So those are published
the
on the
source?
American Community Survey,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, okay.
these are sourced from the WFRC website. And I can,
Okay, okay.
And does the WFRC website also have, like if you have projected populations, do you have percentage of MI?
no,
Okay.
unfortunately.
I
That
was
would,
curious, like for housing, if you had like the percent, like 80,
Yeah.
anything.
that would be great. So yeah, we have here, and then if you want to just go to city specific, you can click on anything, but so it has those. Find it. I want to say they go out to 2050, the population projections. Yep, 2050.
Great.
Those are. Any other comments on the annual action plan? So it was released for public comment a couple of weeks ago. It'll be closed in about 1 or 2 weeks, and then we'll submit. There'll also be a public open house for members of the public to come comment. We'll record all comments received, which historically has been 0 from the public, and then we'll submit that to the state. So with the addition of Lake Point and Erda, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Awesome.
She seconded.
Melissa is seconding. I'm gonna hold all my questions until Melissa's just a bite of food.
Got her at the right time.
Okay. Okay, good. We are moving right along. Okay. So I spoke with Mayor Olson about this a little bit already, but so we met with the state to review the eligibility for all of the applications that were received. We received 7 applications. I guess I'll accept. I have to do this right now. All right. We received 7 applications. We reviewed with the state. Unfortunately, 3 of them were disqualified. Same story as always for the 2 of the disqualifications for Vernon Town and Marriott Slaterville. The public notice was not noticed correctly, with just the CDBG missing from the title of those.
Oh, you're kidding me.
I know, it's so heartbreaking.
It's only a $400,000 mistake.
I
Happens
know,
every year though.
every year,
And
I
as
know.
much as we push it and push it, push it,
Mhm.
Isn't there a way though we could pre-review that as even representatives? I mean, why couldn't we assist with that? If that happens year after year, that seems
Mhm.
like such a simple mistake that,
And
Yeah.
You get so lost in following it, and it was our first year.
Yeah.
yeah.
But you get so lost in following, trying to do everything that they ask you to do, to have some, I agree. It's,
But even maybe our committee somehow, couldn't we like maybe
look at them
review them
before.
first?
So we've talked about in the past,
Before there's-
and what we had talked about is, there is a lot to the application, and so let's have a date where if you're submitted by that, or if you're ready to submit by that date, you let me know and I'll review it. And that date has been January 15th, which allows enough time, just barely, to do it over again if you did it incorrectly. And
However-
I think people,
However, if you've done that public hearing,
Yeah, that won't help you.
what can't happen then?
well, it still can, because you have.
Not
to-
if you didn't put that CDBG on your public hearing.
Yeah, well, you can redo it. You have the option to do it over again. So you'd have to hold it again.
Have another public hearing.
Yeah.
Another public hearing.
Yeah.
Oh,
And,
Okay.
and for a while that worked out, but I think people now aren't as, I don't know, they've gotten, I don't want to say complacent, not everyone's gotten complacent, but they've gotten used to just the way that it's been. I mean, even Marriott Slaterville, they have
yeah, they've
done this so many times before.
They've won
They've been
a
awarded.
dozen projects.
Yeah.
So I'm fairly new. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this. Do you have to do like a separate CDBG meeting? So was it the public notice that wasn't noticed properly, like with the
You
correct
have to-
language?
Yeah, you have to put a notice out to the public that you're gonna have a public hearing.
Okay,
And we put a notice out saying there would be a public hearing,
okay.
but we forgot to put CDBG in the title. That it
So you
was-
literally just said public hearing
Mhm,
and you didn't say
Over the grant.
CDBG
Right.
public hearing?
mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does it have to be its own? Could you still like, maybe if you guys have like council meetings, can it be attached?
It was
Say-
attached to our council. meeting.
Okay.
It just
Then
still
the
has to be
mayor-
noticed separately.
And then the mayor introducing that has to read a
I
paragraph,
read that old
half a
paper.
page.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
You have to be very specific on what you.
And then you have to record the town clerk has to put in all the comments from
oh.
for everything, and
Mhm.
you did have a few comments.
So I know we've had a checklist before, but is there like maybe can we maybe add that to the checklist? Or is that too
It might be
nuanced?
in the checklist.
It might be.
And
I
I
have to
almost
look.
wonder though, I mean, obviously if this is a problem, which it is, maybe what we do is create a template as an addendum to the checklist to say, here's the template,
And
sorry.
I think that's there
That-
too.
We do
Possible.
provide, we
They
provide a
will.
template already.
Sorry.
But no, you're good. I mean, we have a template, but, there's screenshots in the book of like what it's supposed to
Yeah.
look like when it's posted.
And I know they do the CDBG meeting in October. Like the early
Yeah.
one, the
How to.
pre-meeting.
Oh, the
The how to,
How to write it.
so
Yeah.
I'm sure you say it there too, but
Oh, yeah, emphasize that for sure.
wow,
So,
Probably
it
just get
seems so.
like a bat at that October meeting. Just remember.
Well, if we make a requirement of some kind,
mhm,
there's only 7
mhm.
that are applying. Why don't we make a requirement that they send Any notice, how many notices do we do? 2 or?
2.
2.
Well, one at the point of the pre-application, and then if
Okay.
you move on, then you have to do another one.
Okay, maybe it's a requirement that you send a copy of your notice
Mhm.
to
To you.
Christie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only 7.
That's in the book too. It's not a requirement,
Let's
but
make it
it's
a requirement.
suggested.
Let's make it a requirement.
Maybe a requirement.
Another thing we
There's
can
too many
require,
mistakes.
Just say, if you don't reduce, you don't get that into Christie, it doesn't happen. So that way,
Yeah.
I think it, yeah, I mean, I just can't imagine, because I know who wrote our grant, it was one of our, and I
Yeah.
just feel terrible when I have to tell her that all of her work, because she did left that one little.
Yeah. Well, like Christie said, Mary Slaterville, I think they've won half a dozen grants over the last
yeah,
10 years.
yeah,
And they
yeah,
did
they
the
were
same
last
thing.
awarded in 2019.
I also wonder if we could do like for anybody who attends the how-to workshop, do you get letters of intent at all?
Mm-mm.
Well, maybe like we could actually have anyone who attended the how-to workshop could get a invitation, say like January 3rd. That is almost like a reminder. Don't forget, you need to have your public hearing. The public hearing has to be titled blah, 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 or something like that, where now they're getting just like this email invitation
Yeah,
for the
Oh,
pre-packet to,
Yeah.
you
So
know.
as I'm looking at it, we're not even spending, we're spending about 600,000 of the allotted 1 billion.
yeah. Well, so we also have in our policies that if we do have leftover funds and then we have like a multi-year project, we can go to Tooele City and ask, could you use this full amount up front? Would your project still be able to complete your project? So that's another
Okay.
200,000. So we're still leaving almost $250,000 on the table.
Does that roll over?
That goes back into a state pot. Oh,
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Mariel.
No, that's fine.
I've got my contacts in it and bring my glasses today.
That's why I sit in front.
So I thought I'd have a copy in my packet. It's in the copy machine.
Yeah.
all crunched up in there.
Yeah. Another thing that we can do that we can require people have their applications completed by a certain date that's before January 31st. And then I can actually review them. What happens is that people kind of wait till the last minute and they don't fill in their application until the week of. And by then, even if I review it, it's too late.
For the public
For
notice.
the public
Yeah,
notice.
Yeah, then you gotta have a public.
I think that's a
notice.
great
What's
idea.
even sadder is total points possible. We were second.
Yeah.
She must have done a great job.
Well, like Christy said, it was a first, and we'll learn. This year we'll even do better.
Mhm. So what would be a date, do you think, that would give people enough time, but also give me enough time to review and have people redo?
When is the I'm just working my way backwards, right? Like if I'm a grant writer,
Yeah.
and obviously I know it's due the 31st.
I'd say the middle, I'd say by the 15th of December.
I think you gotta go into December.
Really?
Yeah, I think you gotta go.
Just
because
Because of the
that-
holiday?
That gives you 2 public meetings, or you get your November with a holiday. And it gives you up until almost, maybe even the 20th of December. By
So
then.
maybe you say like
should
a
have had-
final
You should have had
draft?
a town meeting by then, or a city meeting.
Maybe, what if we were to do something like, you have your first, like you have to have your draft finished before your first public notice, right? And then set a date for that before, and then January, people can do whatever they want. Then you'd still be able to see the submittal and have at least one public notice
Yeah,
completed. And then if they didn't title it right,
yeah.
then they would still have time in January to do 2 public notices.
I don't know what Christie's timeline looks like, but maybe everyone applicant needs to set up an hour meeting.
Yeah, that's
where
what I
they
was
can
wondering.
Where they can go over their application with you.
Yeah,
You can just highlight and say, bring it to, send me a copy a week before, then I'm gonna set up an hour appointment with you. That gives you time to highlight stuff and say, this is what you gotta have done before. That might be an opportunity to, I think a face-to-face meeting.
yeah.
With you would be really helpful.
And okay, so this might not be doable, but I'm thinking 250 on the table. Could the WFRC, being the CDBG grantor, or whatever you call it, like the
Mhm.
clearinghouse people or whatever, could we potentially have WFRC have access access to any of that money without having to have filled out a grant application for like TA for cities, so that we can start to use that to even recruit more cities to the CDBG process and, you know, have housing conversations and, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we could do a set aside. So in our rating and ranking in the fall, we actually do have a set aside right now
Yeah, we do have a set aside, don't we? Yeah.
to study a revolving loan fund.
Yes, yes,
So
yeah. We put that together about 2 or 3 years ago,
Yeah.
3 or 4 years ago.
On the drive down, that's what I was talking. I said authority, but I meant revolving loan fund.
Yeah, and we put together one of these if we had extra,
okay, right here.
but I'm not, and I did read that. Yeah, I just read that the other day.
Oh, it must be somewhere up here. Anyway, I think it's up here somewhere, but yeah, we can do set aside. So right now we are allowed to, if we have, I think we set aside 20,000 to study a revolving loan fund.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of questions, especially higher up within the organization of what that would look like. You know, we don't want to be in the repo business
Right.
of things like that. But there are, like Mountain Land Association of Governments started a revolving loan fund with CDBG money.
Yeah.
And it has to follow CDBG reporting for like the first 5 years until
Right.
you make that money back and it's no longer tied to CDBG funds anymore.
So if this is 50, obviously, I'm assuming we have to vote on these rules before we just randomly. But
Yeah.
maybe we should actually have set asides for instances where we're putting 250 back on the table. Maybe we shouldn't limit ourselves to 50,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Yeah.
There's federal rules we have to follow as well, so.
Yeah, like as far as providing technical assistance, I don't think that would be doable. I don't think we could do, I don't know if that would be an eligible use of the funds.
Because I know technically you're kind of that person, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's the indirect percentage from the grant itself.
Right.
But it would be awesome. So I'm thinking of like in Weber, we have a housing subcommittee, which would be super awesome to use that for technical assistance, to be writing the sort of master plan for all the cities, to be thinking about CDBG specifically around that housing and a revolving loan fund and that sort of thing, just even for our community as a whole.
I mean, I think we could explore working with the housing authorities or something and see if they would be willing to partner on a set aside that says, you know, should we have leftover money unspent, we can grant up to $50,000 to each of the housing authorities to provide, and we'd have to be probably specific, housing rehab or housing assistance programs such as first-time home buyer assistance or down payment assistance.
What about cities that wanted to do that? Like Marriott Slaterville, for example, I think they have their own authority, housing authority. They have an entity now that's their own housing authority, where maybe we could even set aside for any housing authorities,
Any housing
right?
authority, yeah, any housing authority, sure.
Okay.
So I will definitely make a note for us to talk about this. We've never done anything like that before, so to make sure that
It's eligible.
yeah, so I'll want to follow up with EWS on that, and then we can talk about that in the fall. So
it would be super awesome to Christy to understand if there's ways that we can, for those types of projects, understand the alignment with LIHTC and some other funding streams to combine with CDBG.
So the problem with combining CDBG with LIHTC is that you actually aren't allowed to use CDBG funds to construct housing.
Right, but what I mean by that is like the cities, for example, I'm assuming, so correct me if I'm wrong,
No.
but in Weber, the cities don't typically do housing like the housing authorities do for that population, which is typically, you know, not the moderate, but the low income and the very low income levels. So the cities don't typically do any like social services. They don't ever get involved in that sort of part of their population, even though you're responsible for that population too. Whereas I think that like the CDBG dollars, there's this often, I'm assuming, there's this conversation around using those CDBG dollars for more moderate income. Like not construction, but using those for like parks and some other things. So as we're talking about the housing authority, the cities don't ever think in that way, like for that type of housing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how DWS would feel about that, because it would be, because that's an eligible thing that the city could apply for. So it's basically
Right.
saying like, even though you didn't apply, we have this extra money, so can we give it to you?
Yeah.
I don't know if they would feel good about that.
Yeah.
It would kind of, and how would we pick?
Right,
It would seem
right.
like we were cherry picking.
That's true.
So what's the reason why that money can't go?
That is just the state policy that,
So where does that money go?
if anyone, it goes back into the state pot to be divided 7 ways next year.
Isn't that because I think the feds won't give you, like, if it's, I think it's a use or lose over a certain period of time. That's usually how federal dollars work. So it's usually the state does that so that they can make sure that the money's actually being spent. So, because that's the type of performance that you have to show to the feds.
That would make sense. You are required to spend this money, at least half of it within a year, and then be completed within 18 months. So that would make sense.
So our goal right now is to keep every dollar that we have.
Yeah.
And how, is there,
This is the first time we'll ever have to have given back our regular CDBG funding money.
so
And
how do we keep that money?
Well, we make sure that the process,
yeah,
that the applications are.
Yeah,
Right.
but I mean, right now, I don't want to give you any of it back right
I don't
now.
think we can now. It doesn't sound like
Call Jennifer and
the one entity that will be able to use that is that Twila City probably.
yeah.
The sewer.
Jennifer's the one I tried to fight and say, and we were talking about this earlier, I tried to fight back and say, yeah, the postings on the website were done incorrectly, but this year they were also required to do it in the newspaper, and it was posted correctly in the newspaper, so can that count? And they said no. They had to be consistent throughout how they've been doing it for the last years and how they've determined eligibility for the other AOGs. But I told her that that might be something that we bring up at the state policy committee meeting, like, because you have to do it twice. If it's noticed correctly in newspaper, can we be a little bit more lenient on the website?
I just, you know,
2 years ago, that would have been okay.
Yeah.
Now, you know, the people that are there now,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
black and white.
Mhm. Well, and too with Vernon, the public meeting notice website updated. So the interface looks a little bit different. So when you scroll through notices, you can see the attachments without clicking on the meeting. So without clicking on anything, you could see they had posted CDBG first public hearing. And then there was all the language that's required to be in there. And so I was like, the whole reason why that even became a rule that CDBG had to be in the title is so that you wouldn't have to click on it to know it's CDBG. But here, it's on the title, but you still don't have to click on it to know.
So that's a
CDBG is there.
state mandate, not necessarily a federal.
That's a state. Yeah.
Do we have to make the motion to ask the policy representative to bring it up?
No.
Can you bring it up?
We'll bring it up.
Yeah.
We meet in 2 weeks,
Yeah,
don't we?
really soon, yeah.
March 9th, March 8th or 9th, don't we?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's real soon.
So
I got it on my calendar.
back to Mayor's
So
question.
how do we not lose this?
Yeah, how do we not lose the money? Could we have it in, like, could we set up another set aside, or can we only grab 50 of it? So we have to give 200 back now.
Yeah, set asides have to be approved prior.
So we should note to self
Yeah,
that we set up the opportunity for set asides when, in the event that there's additional dollars,
yeah.
but not make it a priority, right? Just in these types of instances when there's money left.
makes me sick.
Yeah.
Could there ever be a set aside to give money back to that particular year's requests? Like, for example, let's say Washington Terrace fire equipment.
Mhm.
Let's say we had money back, right? And they're asking for the 2023 is 94,000. Then it would be cool to say, hey, you know what? We have this 250 back that, you know, that is eligible for WFRC eligible cities. Let's be able to put that money back in and, hey, you can do 150,000. or kind of reallocated or redistributed across the projects, as long as they don't exceed the total, dollar value.
250. See, that's the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
You'd have to raise. We've got 2 projects that probably total 250.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't.
I mean, that's another thing we could put, well, I mean, even if it exceeds 250, so like for the case of Tooele City, they're gonna end up getting 400,000 this 1 year. So we have that in our rating and ranking, that if we have extra funds, we can exceed that limit.
Oh, do we? Okay. Okay, good.
So
In the
maybe-
years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Okay, so we're gonna give. So we can give Tooele.
They're
400.
two-year and-
But there's,
Yeah.
but what you're saying is even when we pay off everybody's first year request or second year request in year 1, we're still 250.
Yeah.
Give it back.
Yeah.
That's with already paying off the 20.
Yeah, I already added that in. We're still giving back quite a chunk.
Yeah. Another,
150,000.
yeah. Another thing we could consider putting in our rating ranking is that, I don't know, Amy's probably the only person who would actually do this. But like you can apply for she could have applied for a third one, even though it would exceed 250. And then if in the case that we have extra money, we could award another project.
So the,
Eligible project.
so I mean,
Yeah.
I'm relatively new to this process. So the money doesn't originate in this office then.
No,
No.
Where does it originate?
it's federal.
Okay,
from
but
the-
then it comes to the state.
Yeah.
So who's telling us the guidelines that because we didn't follow that wording right?
The state.
Okay, what's that state office?
It's the Department of Workforce Services, Housing and Community Development.
Yep.
And that's run by, I see her face, help me.
Oh,
So we just need the governor to
Christina
kind of
Oliver.
smack her around.
Christina Oliver.
yeah.
Well, Casey Cameron's her boss. So Casey Cameron's the executive director of DWS. And then Christina Oliver's over that division.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to give that money back. I just wish that we could have someone go talk to us and say, this is a little bit ridiculous, guys. I mean,
The thing
Oh, it's been a
is,
fight.
well, and so just to play a little bit of devil's advocate, just because we remember with CARES and everything, like we had to get stuff out really quickly. And
Mhm.
when I did call the state, they have so many, like, we think our stuff is bad, like setting up all of this. Their mandates are like,
the federal
it's really
government.
hard. Yeah, that's the problem.
Well, I was telling Christy before you guys came, I mean, we're trying to do a federal grant right now and it's this.
They're beasts.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
500
crazy.
pages, and
Oh, yeah.
We have 3 very talented grant writers back in Virginia that are working with us to try to.
Yep.
Because there's no way and they're full-time, they're just.
Yep.
Yes.
Crazy.
It's a crazy, yeah. So, sorry, I didn't mean to get us off
No.
topic.
Too bad you can't send a picture and say, this is what we need.
Yeah.
And this is why we
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah.
Trust us.
Write a little essay like you are. This is why I need this money. You know, but boy, it just, what it points out is that people have abused it in the past, and so they have to dot all the i's and cross all the t's, so it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So we do have the 50,000. Are we going to do that again at least? Like,
That-
does that make sense since we have it in our rules to do?
Oh, that comes automatically. So that
Oh,
pays
okay.
for WFRC to administer the funds.
That
That's,
50,000 is
yeah,
set aside.
that's WFRC's fee.
Oh.
Is that your salary partly?
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't want to mess with Chris.
No, I just assumed that was taken off the top as a percentage for indirect. Like most grants will give you
Oh,
a
It
percentage
is
to
taken off
actually
the
operate.
top. Yeah.
So, but in our rules, we have a set aside
Yeah,
to,
set aside.
Yeah, that's what they consider it a set aside.
Set aside, but it's already been taken off the top.
Yeah.
So that's in
So
addition,
people-
that's in addition to the 1,094,000 allocation.
It's
Or is that
taken
part
out.
of that? Oh, it's taken out of that
Yeah.
already. Okay.
okay.
But I thought we had a set aside that if we had any left over.
Yeah.
That's what.
Oh,
Melissa's talking about.
That's, they consider that a set aside.
Well,
Oh,
But-
Just meaning that it's going to be taken out of
We were thinking
allocation
that
each
was,
year.
we were
but the revolving fund or whatever.
But-
Yeah, that's
but I
something
have a
else.
question, hang on.
Yeah.
Because it says to provide administration and planning assistance to eligible entities. So is that like you reading through, like when he was saying, oh, maybe they should send it to you, you set up an hour, like an hour long,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
She is our assistant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what that goes for.
Yeah, I think I can see that.
And I was saying, like, maybe
Better tell
last
him to
year, we
put
could.
more into that so you can get a raise.
Yeah.
That helps.
How do we do
I'll take that note.
How do we say,
Yeah.
Christie's worth more than that? We need to get.
All right, we have it listed up here instead of under set asides, but I'll have to move that. Should there be any more funding available once eligible projects fully funded, 20,000 can be used to study the feasibility of a revolving loan fund.
Oh. Let's do that this year.
Yeah, how much can we put in there?
20,000.
20,000.
Oh, well, we'll do that for sure. Save us a couple.
When we make these rules next year, do we have to limit ourselves to an exact dollar amount? Can't we say like up to?
Yeah, like we put up
Sure.
to up there, yeah.
Let's,
But I'm saying
Okay.
20,000.
let's up to it.
Like we
let's
should
up it.
say up to $100,000, like, right?
I think we put a low amount there when we talked about it, because we were like, well, we use
It's
all
just
of
a
our
study.
funds every year, yeah, and
So how do we spend 20,000 to study the feasibility of a revolving?
You'd have to hire a consultant or
Yeah.
whatever.
yeah, we'll sub that out. And like I said, we've never given money back before, so I have no idea. I'm gonna have to investigate how we get that
But
money.
you're gonna be required to do more work.
So question for
So
you.
shouldn't you be able to get some of that? No, I'm serious. I'm not funny. I think if we hire someone that's gonna be working with Christie, that Christie ought to be able,
Yeah,
it's extra work for her.
yeah. Where's Andrew when you need him?
Yeah. Andrew, I'll say Andrew is very nervous about an RLF. That's not something that he's necessarily excited about,
Yeah.
but
I even wonder from my perspective, I don't know if it'd be fair to have Wasatch Front be the revolving loan fund account manager.
Mhm.
I just think it'd be really good for counties and cities to understand it, to have technical assistance if each county wanted it. You know what I mean? Like a revolving loan fund is kind of a big deal. So that's why Andrew's nervous about it, but I
Yeah.
don't think it would be that big of a, I'm assuming I'm just the staff person, right? Like you guys are the head honchos, but
But counties could probably handle it more than
I think so, right? Because you have a treasurer and you have, I mean, they deal
Auditors
with
and
big
treasurers.
money all the time. And I just feel like that could be something, like not just a study, but maybe working with each one of the counties to talk about what it could look like, what it would mean, so that they could actually make decisions. Like not just one study for WFRC is my point, but actually doing it like with the local governments, even WACOG as a whole, to have a revolving loan fund for WACOG to have, and then have it administered, say, through community development, like Brooke does transportation, as an example,
yeah, I mean,
or the housing authorities, or, right?
it's tricky because it would have to be eligible for all three of the counties.
It would. How
Yeah.
come the counties couldn't then the next year? Why would it have to be for all three counties instead of each one of the counties? Why wouldn't the counties each be eligible?
I mean, maybe they would, I don't know, but we would have to,
open it up to each.
it would have to be equal for each county.
Yeah, that
Right.
makes sense.
So, I mean, I think those are things that could be answered in the study. I think,
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
We
Okay.
could spend that 20,000
Yeah.
pretty quick now. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
yeah.
with all these
They're gonna have to
questions.
pay us if we keep talking.
Well, like for example, Morgan, so the Ogden Housing Authority and the Weaver Housing Authority serve Morgan County. So the two
Yeah,
authorities,
yeah.
if they had a revolving loan fund, would be Weaver Morgan anyway, probably,
Mhm.
right? If it went through the housing authorities, but it wouldn't go through Twilla, obviously, because you would have your own housing authority.
yeah,
I have no idea.
But I guess my point is maybe that would alleviate Andrew's concerns. Like to me, the revolving loan fund, it would make sense to have that at the county local government level versus the WFRC level.
one of the issues is that the reporting is through whoever
Does-
receives the grant. And so
Oh,
we receive our grant through Tooele County, actually, as a pass-through,
okay,
because HUD, we're a little bit different of a beast than all the other AOGs.
okay.
And so we're not technically eligible through HUD's eyes to receive those funds directly. So Tooele County, we filed an application as Tooele County as our sponsor. Tooele County gets the 50,000 and then gives it to us.
Got it.
But if WFRC were to do something wrong or whatever, and we had to give the money back, Tooele County would be on the hook for that.
Got it.
And so I don't know who would be on what hook in that case.
Yeah.
But that's all something that we need to figure out.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that, so CDBG funds can't go into a revolving loan fund, can they?
As long they can, but whatever the RLF is funding has to be an eligible CDBG project.
Got it. Okay.
And that will be the case for at least 5 years. And by that point, the repayment of those loans will kind of scrub out the CDBG. So after about 5 or so years, you can spend it on things that are beyond CDBG.
Okay. Okay.
As far as my understanding.
It's worth
Again,
looking
I'm not an expert. We've
Well,
met with
let's-
MAG a couple of times to
Let's
talk about
initiate
it,
a
but-
study and
Yeah.
we can have them report.
Okay.
Could we have to call it just a study? Could we say a study and, or like a feasibility and technical assistance to the local governments? Or is it only a study? Because a study is a very specific, or next rank. Sorry, I'm just reading it.
To study the feasibility of a
The
revolving loan
feasibility,
fund.
okay.
Yeah. Okay, and then one other thing that I'll just say really quickly, since we're out of time, is that DWS is a little, I don't know, if there is a project, inflation going crazy, especially with construction, cost of materials, delay in labor, things like that. I would encourage communities, I'm not supposed to, I can't reach out and tell them, hey, ask for more money. But if they need more money, they can reach out to DWS and say, we need more money. And maybe DWS will say, WFRC had these extra funds, okay? Maybe they won't.
Is there a way we could do that on their behalf as a subcommittee? Could we potentially, since we've never given money back, could we try that this year? Like maybe say, hey, as a subcommittee, we have $250,000 and we'd like to like use it to, I don't know.
Yeah,
Help fund these that might need more money.
it's a sticky situation where,
Okay.
where they don't want those cities to have the idea that that's a thing.
Okay.
But if they're in a sticky situation and they reach out, but yeah, we're not supposed to encourage them
Okay.
to do that, but it's something that I'll have to talk to DWS about.
So these entities that get the CDBG monies this year, will they be notified of that? That if the initial project has gone up because of interest, that
Yeah.
they can contact?
Oh, they won't, no. See, they won't be notified because DWS is super weird about it.
Okay,
So it's,
so we have to tell them. right?
That's what I was saying as a subcommittee. Like,
Yeah.
I was taking it off of you and saying, well, as subcommittee members, maybe we could just do that on DWS, like on the behalf of the CDBG dollars, right? Like it's the 230 we're
Yeah.
doing back now, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna do the 20,000 feasibility.
I think it's
study.
I don't think. it's
Rather than
25,
use
but it's-
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, just to wrap up really quick, unless there's any other questions or comments about this, if we could just approve this list.
Move to approve the project applications.
Second.
Go ahead.
I lied when I said that was the very last thing. So I met with DWS last week. There's another new fun thing for us to do. And that is just to sign, for all the members of this committee to sign a conflict of interest form, stating that you're not influenced by any outside factors when you're reviewing and approving this list and trying to get one project funded above another. You're not making money off anyone making a project, being awarded a project. None of your family members are making money off of any awarded project or project application or anything like that. Again, with the printer jamming, I couldn't print it out for you guys to sign right now, but I will email this around to everybody just to sign and get back to me as soon as possible. Great. And then for the elected officials who had applications come through their city, they also want a statement from you saying, yes, there was an application through my city, but no, I in no way influenced the outcome of those applications. And I will send that all to you in an email. I'll draft language for you and then just send
It'll be
that
one of
off.
those where we just print our name and it'll sign it.
I don't even think you have to print it and sign it, just copy paste it, send it to them from your email address, so they know. you have your email address. All right, thanks those
I don't
online
know how
for
you can have
following
a
along.
conflict
Do
of
we-
interest if
Yeah,
we don't decide who gets the money. I mean, where's our conflict of interest?
do we need to, when we
Or
make
do
a
it to
motion to approve, do we need to add in that we're gonna pay the 2024 off?
Oh,
For Twila City.
yeah, sure, let's do that just to be safe.
So,
Yeah.
so change your motion that Twila City will get all
Minimum
their money
motion that
this
we-
year.
Attempt to give
All the projects should.
Tooele City the
It's only one.
remainder.
Oh, that's right. Sorry,
Yeah.
Vernon. I was just looking.
And that'll be good for next year, it'll be less that comes out of our next.
Yeah,
year
there you go.
allocation.
Okay.
Okay, and Melissa, does your second still stand?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Anything from anyone online? Thanks for following along. Even though
Thank
didn't
you.
get much.
Appreciate all the work you do.
Well, Jared's on there. Hi, Jared.
Hi, Mayor. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Good to see your name up there. Can't see your face, but
I apologize. You might not want to see my face.
I know. You're right.
Have a good one.